Hello. I have prepared a brief defense. Mum had taught me all I thought that I should know, long before I started losing teeth. So, by the tender age of 5 or 6, I sincerely held in my belief the tooth fairy, in name, was quite benign, a friendly capitalist, market-wise. So, when I lost my molars round age 9, well, wasn't I the model of surprise? The friendly fairy who collects my teeth came to me in a dream that eerie night, her body stitched from several glowing beasts, a Tinkerbell or godmother, not quite. She told me, "Now, my child, you've come of age, and pretty teeth you have not in reserve. But other treasures have you in your cage, which my colleague wishes to preserve." Now, understand, I didn't want to lose the profits that our business had incurred. So when she gave me agency to choose, I nodded at her, never said a word. The motley pelts which constitute her face curved upward at my gesture of consent. I felt her take my molars, and in place, she left me $7.50. Now, I suppose that here I'd leave a note to preach at you the moral of my tale. But frankly, every consequence invoked was consented and repaid quite well. So rather than risk boring you with pity, I'll leap ahead to when this colleague came. And while she never said a word, I knew the organ farming fairy was her name. It was 11:30 on a Wednesday, when my watch began to spin like mad. I heard a creeping coming from the foyer. A raspy cough I knew wasn't my dad. And while I lay awake in bed that night, I knew that I could simply thrash or scream. The creature that crept almost into sight was singing, and while hearing it, it seemed that I could not so much as murmur. My body was as stiff as is a corpse. I couldn't lift my head to view the singer, but strained my eyes to glimpse the singing's source. The creature's eyes were watery and black. Its head was long and covered in gray sores, which leaked and quivered, and the skin was cracked. Its hands were more like surgeon's instruments, all bent and shiny metal, flecked with rust. My bed became an operating table. Then, as the creature cut me like the crust of a warm pastry, spilling open, I started oozing and emitting steam. About this time, I really started hoping that this was all a rather awful dream. But then, before my eyes, the creature grabbed a writhing, wriggling thing from in my guts, put in a mechanism made of brass, a watch or compass, and then stitched me up. On waking, there was no sign of incision, except a tiny kidney bean-shaped scar, faded past the point of recognition. I got out of bed feeling bizarre. I wasn't weak, as if I'd just been cut. The strain of surgery had not been great. You'd think that losing organs from my gut would leave me more or less inanimate, but frankly, I felt better than before. My clockwork organ kept me right on time. I never missed a bus. Not anymore. So, officer, you asked me if I killed him. Personally, I think it's vile to lie. I only wished to make him more productive. I didn't think that he would have to die. But if we measure life in time well spent, I think you'll find we humans waste a lot. To make the human race more efficient, we must reduce the dirty sin of sloth. And I do find I value time the most when I remember I don't have much left. So yes, I know it sounds a little gauche when I tell you, not the least in jest, the curse of long life that we humans have does not encourage productivity. So, if it's wealth and riches that you crave, replace your organs, or better yet, let me